So Lesslie, I understand yesterday you went to Chapman University's 32nd Economic Forecast. What can you share with us?
Well, what I can share is they were right about certain things.
Right.
We are in a, oh yes, right, that's right. That a year ago, there was a prediction that in the third quarter of this year, we would be in a recovery. Now, we really have just started that recovery. Our GDP was up 3.5%, and we are very, very slowly crawling out of the mess we've been in.
Okay, what about job growth?
Job growth in Orange County is going to be very low next year. They project about 1,000 new jobs, and probably coming, Michelle, at the very end of the year, like in this third and fourth quarters. And one of the things that probably will also affect what happens is that real income is pretty much going to stay the same next year.
So consumer spending, what does that mean for consumer spending?
Consumer spending will rebound a bit, but at a very slow growth. We could say it will be an anemic growth.
Okay, and the state budget?
State budget is gloomy news, so we're not going to discuss that today, but it could have an effect on what happens with any kind of a recovery. And lastly, in the housing market, the low end has really probably bottomed out.
Okay, and inventory, what can you tell us about the inventory there?
Well, if we talk about the all-over housing market, inventory in the low end has really shrunk, and it's still shrinking. So if we were to get even a lot of foreclosures on the market, they would probably be absorbed. The real change is going to be we have a lot more of the high-end inventory, and that has to come down in price before it's going to sell. So we're going to see a lot of shifting in that high end.
What are you seeing in construction spending?
In construction spending, probably, there are only about 2,000 permits that have been taken out in the housing field in Orange County. Statewide, 45,000. But in commercial building, there is almost nothing because there's a very high vacancy rate.
Right.
So in construction spending, there's not going to be that much.
Are we at the bottom yet?
We're probably at the bottom in the low end of housing, the real low end of housing, below 500,000, but above 750 and 800,000, we're going to see a lot more shifting.
I understand. And what about affordability?
Well, affordability right now and first of all, we should say, what does that mean? It means for the median price house with an average income, how many people could afford to buy a house and pay principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And right now we're at very good affordability in Orange County, 29%. So we're doing really well there.
That's great. What about, we know there's been big changes in underwriting standards. How has that changed?
Underwriting is still very, very tough. We're hoping that's going to improve, but it's a big hope for any of us like Michelle, you and I. We know how difficult it is to get a loan through. And one of the things we have to keep in mind too is that FHA right now wants to raise the down payment from 3.5% to 5%. And also credit scores are going to have to be better. They're going to have to be 640 instead of 620. That's going to affect a lot of people.
Yes, it will. It will. And what about that inventory?
Which one do you mean?
The low end.
The low end? As I said, that is shrinking and there's not much there. And as you know, if you find something, you better run right out and make your offer. Yeah.
Get it or it will be gone.
So I think you've heard pretty much what we have to say. The economic forecast from Chapman University, done by Michelle and Lesslie, in a nutshell. Thanks for coming today.